So now we are going to see about pulmonary embolism. Of course, it is also an essay question, most commonly asked. So with the introduction, we are starting with the pulmonary circulation, and the image here is the cardiac and lung circulation. The blood from the SVC and IVC will enter into the right atrium, from right atrium through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle, and through the pulmonary valve to the pulmonary artery. In the pulmonary artery, the blood gets oxygenated, and through the pulmonary veins, it enters into the left atrium. From left atrium through the mitral valve, it enters into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, it goes into the aorta. So this is the thing. And coming to the introduction of the pulmonary embolism. So pulmonary embolism, it is characterized by the occlusion of the pulmonary arteries by blood clot embolism, or a fat embolism, or a air emboli. So occlusion of the pulmonary artery by anything like a blood clot or fat, air, or even some amniotic emboli, fluid emboli can also occur. It is one of the leading cause of death, preventable death in hospitalized patients. It is one of the leading cause of preventable death in hospitalized patients. The most common source of clot emboli is the DVT. The most common source of the clot is DVT, and of course other causes like long bone fracture, like femur fracture and trauma, can also cause emboli into the pulmonary circulation. So introduction to the pulmonary embolism is that it is characterized by the occlusion of pulmonary artery by a blood clot, or an air emboli, or a fat emboli. It is one of the leading cause of preventable death in the hospitalized patients, and the most common source of blood clot is DVT, and other causes are long bone fracture and trauma. So coming to the etiology of pulmonary embolism, first thing is that clot embolism, DVT is the common cause. Deep vein thrombosis is the common cause of clot embolism, and air embolism can also occur, and fat embolism can occur. Of course, the amniotic fluid embolism, septic emboli, and tumor embolization can also occur into the pulmonary circulation, causing occlusion of the pulmonary vessels. So following the pulmonary embolism, it will lead to the pulmonary infarct. The pulmonary embolism can lead to the pulmonary infarct. So what is the condition for isolated pulmonary thrombus? Virchow's triad. We should know about the Virchow's triad. This is condition, this triad, prothrombotic condition. The prothrombotic condition is created by the circulatory stasis. That is, prothrombotic condition is created by the circulatory stasis of the blood and the hypercoagulable state and the endothelial injury. These are the condition resulting in the prothrombotic state. So the risk factors for pulmonary embolism are major surgeries like a long bone surgery in orthopedics, even cardiac surgery, and acute thromboembolism and trauma. Because the major surgeries, in case of ortho surgeries, fat emboli is common. In case of cardiovascular surgeries, though we take a very precautionary measures, air emboli can occur. In case of acute thromboembolism, stroke, MI, and DVT can occur associated with the pulmonary embolism, and trauma itself can cause pulmonary embolism. So what are the other risk factors for developing pulmonary embolism? The other risk factors are previous history of DVT, previous history of pulmonary embolism, and congestive heart failure. Of course, malignancy can result in tumor emboli, obesity, and smoking. The previous history of DVT, this pulmonary history of DVT, previous history of pulmonary embolism, congestive heart failure, malignancy, obesity, and smoking. These are all the other risk factors for developing pulmonary embolism. And the other more common risk factors are using of estrogen pills, hormone replacement therapy. This can lead to a procoagulable state. Procoagulable state. Of course, pregnancy itself is a hypercoagulable state. Pregnancy itself is a hypercoagulable state. And of course, long bone injury, lower limb injury like a femur fracture, orthopedic surgery like medullary nailing, which can displace the intramedullary fat into the blood vessels, and prolonged immobilization can lead to DVT. And prolonged surgery can also cause or predispose to development of pulmonary embolism. And age more than 40 years and presence of protein C deficiency, protein S deficiency, factor V Leiden mutation, and antithrombin deficiency will also lead to a procoagulable state. Procoagulable state. Also, prothrombin mutation, anticardiolipin antibodies, presence of anticardiolipin antibody, SLE, and hyperhomocystinemia. And SLE and hyperhomocystinemia, these are the conditions which can predispose to the pulmonary embolism. So, what are the ICU related risk factors? We should know about the ICU related risk factors because the pulmonary embolism is the most common preventable cause of hospitalized patients' death. This is the most common preventable cause of death in the hospitalized patient. So, we should know about the ICU related risk factors like prolonged immobilization, neuromuscular paralysis, and central venous catheterization, of course, severe sepsis. Severe sepsis can cause septic foci, septic emboli. Central venous catheter, it is a foreign body inside the central vein. It can extend up to the right atrium even. Of course, neuromuscular paralysis, prolonged immobilization can cause DVT.